Mom, oh no, this can't be. Grace's voice cuts through the quiet evening, jolting me from my thoughts as I prepare dinner in the kitchen. My heart races as I rush to the living room, fearing the worst. Grace, honey, what's wrong? I ask, my voice trembling slightly. I find my 10-year-old daughter standing by the lamp, her face pale and her eyes wide with fear. There's something weird in the lamp, Mom, she whispers, pointing at the base of the lamp with a shaky finger. I approach the lamp cautiously, my mind spinning with possibilities. As I examine the base, I notice a small, unfamiliar device attached to it. A chill runs down my spine as realization dawns on me. Is that a wiretap? I mutter under my breath, my heart sinking. Grace looks up at me, her eyes filled with confusion and fear. What's a wiretap, Mom? I take a deep breath, trying to compose myself for my daughter's sake. It's something that people use to listen to other people's conversations without them knowing, I explain gently, pulling her into a reassuring hug. As I hold Grace close, my mind races with questions. Who would do this to us? Why would someone invade our privacy like this? A sense of violation and anger begins to build inside me, but I push it down, focusing on comforting my daughter. Don't worry, sweetie, I say, stroking her hair. We'll figure this out. I won't let anyone hurt our family. Grace nods, burying her face in my shoulder. I'm scared, Mom, she whispers, her voice muffled. I know, honey, but we'll get through this together. I promise. I hold her tightly, my determination growing with each passing moment. As I stand there, holding my daughter in the living room, I can't help but feel a sense of dread wash over me. The realization that someone has been listening to our private conversations, invading our most intimate moments, makes my skin crawl. I think back to the strained relationship I've had with my mother-in-law, Frances, over the years. The constant meddling, the subtle jabs at my parenting, the way she always seems to undermine my authority in my own home. Could she be behind this? The thought makes my stomach churn. I glance around the room, suddenly feeling exposed and vulnerable. How long has this been going on? What have they heard? The questions swirl in my mind, each one more unsettling than the last. But I know I can't let my fear consume me. I have to be strong for Grace, for our family. I take a deep breath, squaring my shoulders as I gently pull away from my daughter's embrace. Okay, Grace, here's what we're going to do, I say, my voice steady and calm. We're going to call the police and report this. They'll help us figure out who did this and keep us safe. Grace nods, her eyes still wide with fear but a glimmer of trust shining through. Okay, Mom, I trust you. Those 3 simple words fill me with a renewed sense of purpose. I will protect my family, no matter what it takes. I won't let anyone tear us apart or destroy the love and trust we've built. As I reach for the phone to dial 911, I feel a wave of determination wash over me. This is just the beginning, I know. But I'm ready to face whatever comes our way, armed with the love and strength of my family by my side. As I wait for the police to arrive, my mind drifts back to the countless times Frances has meddled in our lives. Her obsession with Doris has always been a point of contention, but I never imagined it would lead to something like this. I remember the day we moved into this house, how excited we were to start our new life together. But Frances was there, her disapproving gaze sweeping over every inch of our home. Doris, dear, are you sure this is the best you can do? She had said, her voice dripping with condescension. Over the years, her interference only grew worse. She would drop by unannounced, criticizing my cooking, my parenting, even the way I decorated our home. I tried to maintain peace for Doris's sake, but it was a constant struggle. One particular incident stands out in my mind. It was Grace's 5th birthday, and we had invited some of her friends over for a small party. Frances had insisted on being there, despite my reservations. As the children played in the backyard, I overheard Frances talking to one of the other mothers. Beth just doesn't have what it takes to be a proper mother, she said, her voice loud enough for me to hear. Poor Doris, having to put up with her inadequacies. I felt my face flush with anger and embarrassment. How dare she speak about me like that, in my own home? I wanted to confront her, but I knew it would only make things worse. Instead, I focused on making sure Grace had a wonderful birthday. I pushed down my own hurt and frustration, determined not to let Frances ruin this special day for my daughter. But now, as I sit here waiting for the police, I realize that Francis's meddling has gone too far. The wiretaps, the invasion of our privacy. It's unforgivable. I hear a knock at the door and take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. As I open the door, I'm relieved to see two officers standing there, their faces serious but kind. "Mrs. Thompson?" one of them asks, and I nod. "We received a call about a possible wiretapping situation. Can you tell us what happened?" I invite them in and begin to explain, my voice shaking slightly as I recount the events of the evening. They listen intently, taking notes and asking questions. As I talk, I can't help but feel a sense of betrayal wash over me. How could Frances do this to us, to her own son and granddaughter? The thought makes my stomach churn. The officers assure me that they will investigate the matter thoroughly. They take the wiretap as evidence and promise to keep me updated on their progress. After they leave, I sit down heavily on the couch, my head in my hands. I feel like I'm in a nightmare, one that I can't seem to wake up from. Grace comes over and sits beside me, her small hand resting on my arm. "Mom, are we going to be okay?" she asks, her voice small and uncertain. I look at her, my brave, beautiful daughter, and I know that I have to be strong for her. "Yes, honey, we're going to be okay," I say, pulling her into a tight hug. "I promise." But even as I say the words, I know that things will never be the same. France's actions have set something in motion, something that I fear will tear our family apart. As I hold Grace close, I vow to myself that I will do whatever it takes to protect her, to keep her safe from the toxicity that threatens to engulf us. No matter what happens, I will always be there for her, my love for her unwavering and unbreakable. The days following the discovery of the wiretap are a blur of police interviews and hushed conversations with Doris. We try to shield Grace from the worst of it, but I can see the confusion and fear in her eyes. One evening, as we're sitting around the dinner table, Doris clears his throat and looks at me, his expression serious. "Beth, I think we need to talk about my mother." I feel my stomach clench at the mention of Frances. "What about her?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. "I think we need to limit our visits to her house for a while," he says, his eyes searching mine for a reaction. "At least until this whole wiretapping situation is resolved." I nod, relief washing over me. "I think that's a good idea," I say, reaching out to take his hand. "We need to focus on our own family right now." Grace looks up from her plate, her brow furrowed. "Does that mean we won't see Grandma anymore?" she asks, her voice small. I exchange a glance with Doris before turning to our daughter. "We'll still see Grandma, sweetie," I say, trying to reassure her. "Just not as often as before." Grace nods, but I can see the uncertainty in her eyes. My heart aches for her, for the innocence that's being stripped away by Frances's actions. The next day, I'm in the kitchen making lunch when the phone rings. I answer it, expecting it to be the police with an update on the investigation. Instead, I hear Frances's voice on the other end of the line. "Beth, dear, how are you?" she asks, her tone saccharine sweet. I feel my jaw clench at the sound of her voice. "What do you want, Frances?" I ask, not bothering to hide the anger in my voice. "I just wanted to check in on my favorite daughter-in-law," she says, her words dripping with false sincerity. "I heard about the little incident with the wiretap. Such a shame." I grip the phone tighter, my knuckles turning white. "A shame?" I repeat, my voice rising. "Is that all you have to say about it?" Now, Beth, there's no need to get upset," Frances says, her tone condescending. "I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding." I feel my blood boil at her words. "A misunderstanding?" I say, my voice shaking with anger. "Someone invaded our privacy, Frances. They listened to our conversations, our private moments. And you think it's just a misunderstanding?" There's a pause on the other end of the line. "Beth, dear, you're overreacting," Frances says, her voice cold. "I'm sure whoever did this had their reasons." I can't believe what I'm hearing. "Their reasons?" I repeat, my voice rising to a shout. What possible reason could anyone have for doing something like this? "Perhaps they were concerned about your ability to be a good mother," Frances says, her words like a slap in the face. "Perhaps they wanted to make sure Grace was being properly cared for." I feel like I've been punched in the gut. How dare she question my ability to be a mother? How dare she use my daughter as a weapon against me? "I am a damn good mother, Frances," I say, my voice low and dangerous, "and I will not let you or anyone else tell me otherwise." I hang up the phone before she can respond, my hands shaking with rage. I lean against the counter, taking deep breaths to try and calm myself. Doris comes into the kitchen, his face etched with concern. "Beth, what's wrong?" he asks, coming over to wrap his arms around me. I bury my face in his chest, tears streaming down my cheeks. "Your mother," I say, my voice muffled. She had the nerve to question my ability to be a good mother. I feel Doris stiffen against me. "She what?" he says, his voice low and angry. I pull back to look at him, my eyes red and puffy. "She implied that whoever put the wiretap in our house did it because they were concerned about Grace's well-being," I say, my voice breaking. Doris's face hardens, his jaw clenching. "That's it," he says, his voice firm. "We need to distance ourselves from her, Beth, for our own sanity." I nod, relief and gratitude washing over me. "Thank you," I whisper, burying my face in his chest once more. As we stand there, holding each other in the kitchen, I know that we've reached a turning point. We can no longer allow Frances to control our lives, to dictate our happiness. It's time to take a stand, to protect our family from her toxic influence. No matter what it takes, we will find a way to break free from her grasp and build a life of our own, one filled with love, trust, and respect. In the weeks following our decision to distance ourselves from Frances, I find myself constantly on edge, jumping at every unexpected sound or movement. The police investigation into the wiretapping is ongoing, but they haven't made any significant breakthroughs yet. One afternoon, as I'm cleaning the house, I decide to rearrange the furniture in the bedroom. As I'm moving the bed, I notice something strange behind the headboard. My heart races as I reach out and pull out another wiretap, similar to the one we found in the living room. I feel my stomach drop as I realize the extent of the invasion. How many more of these devices are hidden throughout our home? Who has been listening to our most intimate conversations? With shaking hands, I call Doris at work. "Doris, I found another one," I say, my voice trembling. "In our bedroom." There's a pause on the other end of the line. "I'll be right there," he says, his voice tight with anger. When Doris arrives home, we search the house from top to bottom, finding wiretaps in almost every room. The kitchen, the bathroom, even Grace's bedroom. I feel sick to my stomach as I imagine someone listening to my daughter's private moments. We call the police, who arrive quickly and begin a thorough investigation. They dust for fingerprints and take the wiretaps as evidence, promising to do everything they can to find the person responsible. As the officers leave, I turn to Doris, my eyes filled with tears. "I can't stay here," I say, my voice breaking. "I don't feel safe." Doris nods, his face etched with concern. "I understand," he says, pulling me into a tight hug. "We'll figure something out." We decide to send Grace to stay with my parents in a nearby town while we deal with the investigation. It breaks my heart to be separated from her, but I know it's for the best. I need to keep her safe, no matter what. As I pack Grace's bags, I can't shake the feeling that someone is watching me. I glance out the window, half expecting to see Frances's face peering back at me. But there's no one there, just the quiet street and the setting sun. I drive Grace to my parents' house, my heart heavy with worry and fear. When we arrive, my mother takes one look at my face and pulls me into a tight hug. "Oh, Beth," she says, her voice filled with concern. "What's happened?" I break down then, sobbing into her shoulder as I tell her everything. The wiretaps, the police investigation, the constant fear that someone is watching our every move. My mother listens patiently, her face growing more and more concerned with each passing moment. When I finish, she takes my hand in hers and looks me in the eye. "Beth, you're doing the right thing," she says, her voice firm. "You need to protect yourself and Grace, and we'll be here for you, no matter what." I nod, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. Knowing that I have my parents' support means everything to me. As I drive back home, my mind races with possibilities. Who could be behind the wiretapping? Is it Frances, trying to gather evidence to use against me? Or is it someone else entirely, someone with a grudge against our family? I think back to the confrontation with Frances, the way she questioned my ability to be a good mother. Could she really be capable of something like this? The thought makes my blood run cold. When I arrive home, Doris is waiting for me in the living room. He looks up as I enter, his face drawn and tired. "Beth, we need to talk," he says, his voice serious. I think I know who's behind the wiretapping. I feel my heart skip a beat as I sit down beside him. Who? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Doris takes a deep breath, his eyes meeting mine. It's my mother, he says, his voice heavy with emotion. I think she's been spying on us, trying to find a way to tear our family apart. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. Frances, the woman who has made my life a living hell for years, is behind this invasion of our privacy. The betrayal cuts deep, leaving me reeling with shock and anger. As I sit there, trying to process this new information, I feel a sense of determination wash over me. I won't let Frances win. I won't let her destroy our family. No matter what it takes, I will protect Grace and Doris from her toxic influence. Even if it means cutting her out of our lives completely, I will do whatever it takes to keep my family safe and whole. The revelation of Frances's involvement in the wiretapping leaves me reeling. I can't believe that my own mother-in-law would go to such lengths to undermine our family. The betrayal cuts deep, leaving me feeling lost and alone. I decide to confide in my father, Paul, hoping that his wisdom and support will help me navigate this difficult situation. When I arrive at his house, he takes one look at my face and pulls me into a tight hug. "What's wrong, Beth?" he asks, his voice filled with concern. I break down then, telling him everything. The wiretaps, the police investigation, and Doris's suspicion that Frances is behind it all. My father listens intently, his face growing more and more serious with each passing moment. When I finish, he takes a deep breath and looks me in the eye. "Beth, I know this is hard, but you need to stay strong," he says, his voice firm. "You have to protect yourself and Grace, no matter what." I nod, feeling a sense of determination wash over me. "I know, Dad, but I don't know what to do. I feel like I can't trust anyone anymore." My father takes my hand in his eyes filled with compassion. "You can trust me, Beth. I'll always be here for you, no matter what." We decide to return to my house together, hoping to find some clues that might help us uncover the truth. When we arrive, the house is quiet and still, with no sign of Doris or Grace. As we make our way through the rooms, I can't shake the feeling that something is off. The air feels heavy with tension, and I find myself jumping at every unexpected sound. Suddenly, I hear a noise coming from the bedroom. My heart races as I push open the door, my father close behind me. There, crouched by the bed, is Doris. He looks up at us, his face pale and his eyes wide with fear. "Doris, what are you doing?" I ask, my voice shaking. He stands up slowly, his hands trembling. "Beth, I can explain," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. I look down at his hands and see that he's holding one of the wiretaps. My stomach drops as I realize what's happening. "Doris, you set this up with your mother?" I ask, my voice rising with anger. He shakes his head frantically. "No, Beth, I swear. I found it here, just now. I was going to remove it." I feel my father's hand on my shoulder, steadying me. "Doris, I think you need to tell us the truth," he says, his voice calm but firm. Doris takes a deep breath, his eyes filling with tears. "It was my mother," he says, his voice breaking. "She convinced me that Beth was cheating on me, that she was an unfit mother. She said she had proof." I feel like I've been punched in the gut. "And you believed her?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Doris nods, his face etched with shame. "I'm so sorry, Beth. I never should have doubted you. I let my mother's lies cloud my judgment." I turn away from him, my heart breaking into a million pieces. The betrayal is too much to bear, the pain too deep to ignore. My father steps forward, his face hard with anger. "Doris, I think you need to leave," he says, his voice leaving no room for argument. Doris nods, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "I understand," he says, his voice heavy with regret. "I'll go." As he walks out of the room, I feel a sense of numbness wash over me. I can't believe that the man I loved, the father of my child, could betray me like this. My father pulls me into a tight hug, his voice soft and comforting. "Beth, I know this hurts, but you're not alone. We'll get through this together." I nod, feeling a sense of strength wash over me. I know that the road ahead will be difficult, but with my father by my side, I know I can face anything. As we stand there, holding each other in the quiet of the bedroom, I feel a sense of determination wash over me. I won't let Frances win. I won't let her destroy my family. No matter what it takes, I will protect Grace from her toxic influence. Even if it means leaving Doris behind, I will do whatever it takes to keep my daughter safe and happy. The days following Doris's confession are a blur of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. I can't fathom how he could have believed his mother's lies, how he could have doubted my love and loyalty. I find myself constantly replaying our confrontation in my mind, the look of guilt and shame on his face as he admitted to his betrayal. The pain is almost too much to bear, but I know I have to stay strong for Grace. One evening, as I'm putting Grace to bed, Doris comes into the room, his eyes red and puffy from crying. "Beth, can we talk?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. I nod, tucking Grace in and kissing her forehead before following Doris out of the room. We sit down on the couch, the tension between us palpable. "Beth, I'm so sorry," Doris begins, his voice breaking. "I never should have believed my mother's lies. I never should have doubted you." I feel my anger rising, my voice shaking as I respond. "How could you, Doris? How could you think I would ever be unfaithful to you? How could you let your mother manipulate you like that?" Doris hangs his head, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "I don't know, Beth. I was weak. I let her get inside my head, and I didn't trust my own instincts." I shake my head, tears streaming down my face. "Do you have any idea how much this hurts, Doris? How betrayed I feel?" He nods, his own tears falling. "I know, Beth. I know I've hurt you deeply, and I'll never forgive myself for that." We sit in silence for a moment, the weight of his betrayal hanging heavy in the air. Finally, I take a deep breath and look him in the eye. "I need to know everything, Doris. What exactly did your mother tell you? What made you believe her?" Doris takes a shaky breath, his voice barely audible. "She told me that the neighbors had seen you with another man, that they had proof of your infidelity. She said that you were an unfit mother, that you were neglecting Grace." I feel my heart shatter into a million pieces. "And you believed her? Without even talking to me first?" Doris nods, his face etched with shame. "I'm so sorry, Beth. I was a fool. I let my mother's words poison my mind, and I didn't trust in our love." I stand up, my body shaking with anger and hurt. "I can't do this anymore, Doris. I can't live with someone who doesn't trust me, who lets his mother control our lives." Doris stands up, his eyes wide with panic. "Beth, please, I'll do anything to make this right. I'll cut my mother out of our lives completely. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back." I shake my head, my voice firm. "It's too late, Doris. The damage has been done. I need to protect myself and Grace from this toxic environment." I walk towards the door, my heart breaking with every step. "I'm taking Grace, and we're going to stay with my parents for a while. I need time to think, to figure out what's best for us." Doris falls to his knees, his voice desperate. "Beth, please don't go. I love you. I can't live without you and Grace." I turn to face him, my eyes hard. "You should have thought of that before you let your mother destroy our family." With that, I walk out the door. My heart shattered, but my resolve strong. I know that the road ahead will be difficult, but I also know that I'm doing what's best for myself and my daughter. As I drive to my parents' house, Grace sleeping peacefully in the back seat, I feel a sense of clarity wash over me. I know that I deserve better than a husband who doesn't trust me, who lets his mother control our lives. I vow to myself that I will build a new life for Grace and me, one filled with love, trust, and respect. No matter what it takes, I will protect my daughter from the toxicity that threatens to engulf us. And as for Frances, I know that she will face the consequences of her actions. I will make sure that the truth comes out, that everyone knows the extent of her manipulation and deceit. But for now, I focus on the road ahead, on the promise of a brighter future for Grace and me. I know that we will emerge from this stronger, more resilient than ever before. Settling into life at my parents' house is a challenge, but their unwavering support and love make it easier to bear. Grace seems to be adjusting well, finding comfort in the familiar surroundings and the doting attention of her grandparents. As the days pass, I find myself growing stronger, more determined to uncover the truth behind France's manipulation. With my father's encouragement, I decide to confront the neighbors who were allegedly spreading rumors about my infidelity. Armed with a newfound sense of purpose, I make my way to the first neighbor's house, my father by my side. When Mrs. Johnson opens the door, her face falls as she sees me standing there. "Beth, I'm so sorry," she begins, her voice trembling. "I never meant to cause you any harm." I take a deep breath, trying to keep my anger in check. Mrs. Johnson, I need to know the truth. Did Frances tell you that I was cheating on Doris? She nods, her eyes filling with tears. She did. She said that she had proof that she had seen you with another man. I feel my heart sink, the weight of Frances's lies crushing me. And you believed her? Without even asking me first? Mrs. Johnson hangs her head in shame. I'm so sorry, Beth. I should have known better. Frances can be so convincing, and I let myself get caught up in the gossip. I nod, my anger slowly giving way to a sense of betrayal. Do you have any idea how much damage your words have caused, how much pain you've inflicted on my family? She shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. I'm truly sorry, Beth. I never meant to hurt you. I'll do whatever I can to make this right. My father places a comforting hand on my shoulder, his voice calm and steady. Thank you for your honesty, Mrs. Johnson. We appreciate your willingness to set the record straight. We leave her house, my heart heavy with the knowledge of just how deep Frances' manipulation runs. As we make our way to the other neighbors' homes, the story remains the same. Each one admits to being taken in by Frances's lies, to spreading false rumors without any proof. By the end of the day, I'm exhausted, my mind reeling from the extent of Frances's deceit. But I also feel a sense of vindication, knowing that the truth is finally coming to light. When we return to my parents' house, I find Grace waiting for me, her face etched with concern. Mom, are you okay? She asks, wrapping her arms around me. I hug her tightly, my voice thick with emotion. I will be, sweetie, I promise. That evening, as I tuck Grace into bed, I hear a knock at the front door. My father answers it, and I hear the sound of raised voices coming from the living room. I make my way downstairs, my heart racing as I see Frances standing there, her face twisted with anger. How dare you turn the neighbors against me? She spits, her eyes blazing with fury. I feel a surge of strength coursing through me, my voice steady and calm. I didn't turn anyone against you, Frances. You did that yourself, with your lies and manipulation. She scoffs, her voice dripping with disdain. You've always been jealous of my relationship with Doris. You've been trying to turn him against me for years. I shake my head, my voice rising with each word. No, Frances. You're the one who's been trying to turn Doris against me. You're the one who's been poisoning our marriage with your lies and deceit. My father steps forward, his voice firm and unyielding. I think it's time for you to leave, Frances. You've caused enough damage to this family. Frances's face falls, the reality of her actions finally sinking in. She turns to leave, her shoulders slumped in defeat. As the door closes behind her, I feel a sense of relief wash over me. I know that the road ahead will be difficult, that the wounds inflicted by Frances's betrayal will take time to heal. But I also know that I'm not alone. With the love and support of my family, I will find the strength to rebuild my life, to create a future filled with trust, respect, and happiness. And as for Frances, I know that she will face the consequences of her actions. The truth has a way of coming to light, and she will have to live with the knowledge of the pain she's caused. But for now, I focus on the present, on the love and laughter that fills my parents' home. I know that together, Grace and I will emerge from this stronger, more resilient than ever before. In the weeks following my confrontation with Frances, I throw myself into building a new life for Grace and myself. With the support of my parents, I find a full-time job at a local bookstore, relishing the opportunity to immerse myself in a world of stories and imagination. Grace continues her swimming lessons, finding solace and joy in the water. I watch her glide through the pool, her face lit up with a smile, and I feel a sense of pride and love wash over me. One afternoon, as I'm sorting through a new shipment of books, my phone buzzes with an incoming call. I glance at the screen, my heart skipping a beat as I see Doris's name. I hesitate for a moment, unsure if I'm ready to face him, but I know that I can't avoid this conversation forever. I step outside, taking a deep breath before answering the call. Hello, Doris. There's a pause on the other end of the line, followed by a shaky breath. Beth, I'm so sorry. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know how much I regret what I did. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of his words settle over me. I know, Doris, but the damage has been done. I can't just forget what happened. I understand, he says, his voice heavy with emotion. I just wanted to let you know that I've started seeing a therapist. I'm trying to work through my issues to understand why I let my mother's manipulation get to me. I feel a flicker of hope in my chest, but I push it down, knowing that I can't let myself get caught up in false promises. That's good, Doris. I'm glad you're getting help. We talk for a few more minutes, our conversation stilted and awkward. When we hang up, I feel a sense of sadness wash over me, knowing that the man I once loved is now a stranger to me. As the days turn into weeks, I find myself settling into a new routine. Grace and I spend our evenings curled up on the couch, reading books and watching movies. On weekends, we explore the city, discovering new parks and museums. I hear whispers around town about Frances, about how she's become a pariah in the community. People cross the street to avoid her, their faces etched with disgust and anger. Part of me feels a sense of satisfaction, knowing that she's finally facing the consequences of her actions. But another part of me feels a twinge of pity, knowing that she's now living a life of isolation and loneliness. One evening, as I'm tucking Grace into bed, she looks up at me with wide, curious eyes. "Mom, do you think Grandma Frances is sorry for what she did?" I pause, considering my words carefully. "I don't know, sweetie. Sometimes people do bad things because they're hurting inside, and they don't know how to deal with their pain." Grace nods, her brow furrowed in thought. "I hope she learns to be a better person." I smile, feeling a surge of love and pride for my wise, compassionate daughter. Me too, Grace. Me too. As I lay in bed that night, I find myself reflecting on the journey that brought me to this moment. The pain and betrayal, the fear and uncertainty, the strength and resilience that I never knew I possessed. I know that the road ahead will be difficult, that there will be challenges and obstacles to overcome. But I also know that I'm not alone, that I have the love and support of my family to guide me through. And as I drift off to sleep, I feel a sense of peace wash over me, knowing that no matter what the future holds, I have the strength and courage to face it head-on. Because I am Beth Thompson, a survivor, a fighter, a woman who refuses to be defined by the actions of others. And I know that with the love of my daughter and the support of my family, I can overcome anything that life throws my way.